Welcome to Club Damingo, brought to you by Cyclone Comics.
Let's go.
Let's go. Good morning, Tim. How you going?
I am okay. How are you?
Oh, I'm going okay for a day later than usual today. So for a Wednesday,
Are you still going to edit and upload tomorrow?
yeah, I think I'll be able to manage that at some stage. That'll probably be my job tonight and tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're a vision in red today. What are you wearing today?
This is the T-shirt I bought to support the Mini Comic of the Month Club, which we've mentioned very early on, I think, early episode of the show. The mostly run by Fulton, yeah,
Yes, Andrew Fulton.
Andrew Fulton, which was like, give us X amount of money, and then every month for a year you get a mini comic in the mail, and it was so wonderful to get all these weird ass things in the mail. They were great, and it was a really cool decentralized um, methodology in that Andrew didn't have, you know, the February cartoonists send all of the stuff to him for him to stuff in envelopes and then him to mail out.
There
Whoever
was a
the
stamp,
cartoonist
wasn't there?
was.
There was a
Hey?
stamp. There was a stamp that
Oh
was
yes,
sent,
there was a rubber stamp.
yeah, on
Yeah.
the envelope. So the
Yeah.
stamp got sent to. No, it's your responsibility to send these things out. Here's the
Yeah.
stamp.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Stamp designed by, was that designed by Pat Grant as well? Or was that
Ooh,
is that a Andrew Fulton design? I can't remember now.
I can't remember. One or the other.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it meant that every cartoonist had the responsibility of doing the envelope stuffing as well
Yeah,
as doing
right.
the mini comic
Yeah.
itself. So
So
yeah,
is that T-shirt design, is that a Grant
but
or a Fulton?
that's a Fulton.
All right. Yeah. I
It's a
thought,
bunch of weird Fulton
yeah,
characters reading comics.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I kind of think I purchased something similar at one stage, but I wore it to death, so I don't have it anymore. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
mine's getting that way.
Mm.
Oh, cheers.
Oh, God. Cheers.
Mm.
I've got whiskey in here.
Is that right? Is that how we get through a Wednesday? Is it?
After a Tuesday like yesterday, yes, we have whiskey. No, it's a cup of very strong Earl Grey with whiskey.
Oh, I didn't even ask you what happened yesterday, why we didn't. So we won't bring it up on the air, why we couldn't do it yesterday morning, but I'll ask you
Uh,
when we hit stop.
yeah, well, we did cover it in our preamble.
Oh, that it was that. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. Which is not good viewing for the kiddies, but
Boring.
yeah.
Boring.
But we could talk about what you were doing yesterday a little bit.
Yeah. Well, so uh, yesterday I was finally interviewed for the Folio Project.
That's enough.
And
Next subject.
it's all about me.
Tell us
Um,
more, Tim. Tell us more.
so the Folio Project uh, is a I guess it's an oral history project to try to get a handle on comics in Australia, kind of now, I guess, but you know, when they interview someone like me or you, it's not only about what's happening now, it's about what's been happening for the last 30 or so years as well. And it's spearheaded by, I'm going to bring it up so I don't lose anybody, spearheaded by Elizabeth McFarlane,
Yes.
Pat Grant, Gabriel Clark and Ronnie Scott
Yep.
as the academics. If you go to the Folio website, and it's foliocomics.com, and if you're a comic maker in this country, you absolutely should be looking at that website anyway, and you don't have to read the whole thing in one sitting. In fact, it's probably built for you to go back to every so often because there's a few essays on there and a few things. But yeah, if you're a comic maker in this country, you probably should um, be aware of what's going on
Be familiar with it. Yeah.
with Folio. Yeah, be
Yeah.
familiar with it. Yeah, so Elizabeth McFarlane, who's a mostly an academic and a publisher, yeah,
Yep, that's right. Yes.
rather than a creator, and that's just off the top of my head, but I could be wrong. And you know, and then Pat Grant, who we know from Blue and The Grot, and Gabriel Clark, who is again mostly a academic, but he's one of the three people who run the Read to Me events in Sydney, which often extend beyond Sydney. But yeah, he's one of the three that spearhead that. And Ronnie Scott, who I don't know at all.
Right,
I think he's mostly um, an academic.
right.
So they're the four people. I think it's mostly Gabe actually who do the interviews. So they're really long interviews, long ranging, long time sitting interviews. Mine actually went for about 4 hours yesterday. Um, and I asked you how long yours went for, and you said it was about the same amount of time.
Yeah. It was like being interviewed for the Comics Journal back in the old days, where there was quite long, in-depth
Yeah.
career and opinion spanning interviews.
Yeah, that's a good way to think of it. I didn't think of it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
And I was actually uh, very nervous is probably not is exactly the right word, but like I was concerned about how are we going to do this? How's it going to work? What are we going to cover? Like, because the thing is that they want artifacts to
yes.
spark the conversations or to orbit the conversations around. Um, and did you read the onboarding document or whatever it's called, the introductory document where they say this is what we're trying to make and this is what we'd like you to bring and this is
I
what we'd
think,
like the outcome.
yeah, I think I would have read that, and that's why I basically said I'm not dragging half of my studio into a impromptu room set up somewhere in town when you guys can come out to my place.
Oh, totally, absolutely.
So
I
Liz and
kind
Meg
of
O'Shea came out to my place for a. I went in town to pick them up, and we had a bit of a drive around and came back to my place, and we
Wonderful.
had nibbles and pickies and drinks and chats and stuff like that. It was a lovely day.
Yeah.
But yeah, far better than packing everything up. I wouldn't have known what to have taken.
Yeah. And
Uh,
that was part of my fear. I was going, oh, what shall I bring? And I wasn't just grabbing stuff willy-nilly, but I was going, I'll take that and I'll take that, but I won't take this. And like, shall I bring some original artwork? What original artwork? And
you're
so
bound to be asked a question, and you go, "Oh, I was going to bring that, and it'll be
yeah,
perfect to show."
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The main thing I forgot to bring, and my heart sank when I was opening up my box of goodies where the interview was being done, was the folder full of old-fashioned photographs,
right. Yeah.
which I really anyway
I thought
it
you were going to
was
swivel around and point to the Marvel Triad book. I didn't take the
no,
Marvel
not that
Triad.
one. But when we finished, I said to Meg, I'm glad I didn't bring it because that would have been at least an hour's more conversation, and we'd gone for far too long as it was. Um, but yeah, it was before we got on air, you said it was kind of tiring. It was kind of tiring, but it was also really invigorating as well. It was a really different to most interviews I've done because it was artifact based, and we were excited to be looking at things and pointing and um, uh, it was
Did the conversation go off in many different directions in the
yeah,
course of that,
yeah,
or
yeah,
did
yeah.
Gabe ran the interview, and did he stay fairly focused, or was he happy to go down those side streets with you?
No, we went on tangents when it was interesting to do so. Although again at the end, because so it was Gabe and Meg, and yeah, Gabe mainly drove it, and but Meg she was very interesting that she'd say something that I would go, oh yeah, you're actually listening, pretty. What's the word? Like not intently. They were both listening intently, but like she was hearing things in a different manner and was able to ask
Actively
different
listening.
insightful
Yeah,
questions.
yeah,
Yeah, it was really good every time she came in. It
yeah,
kind of did shunt us back into a proper lane again.
yeah. Right.
But she
Okay.
also said at the end of it, but somehow, Tim, the stuff you brought and the order that we did it in felt like a narrative, even though we didn't start when I was six. I was like it did go all over the place, but it felt pretty connected in a way. So,
Right.
and I actually I really tried hard to bring interesting things. So we talked about Sunburnt Comics distribution for quite a while.
Yep.
Um, and I brought in the catalogs, which is one thing, right? But I also brought in one of I think four or five huge what do you call those big folders with the huge rings inside them,
Okay, yeah.
all of paperwork of old invoices and
Ring
emails.
binders, yeah.
Yeah. Like so the really big fat ring binders. I brought in one. I said, this is one of like four or five. And they're going, this is incredible. How much work was there in this distribution thing? And because it was mostly pre-internet, it wasn't most of the records had to be printed out and sent to the shop or the
Via
guy.
pigeon,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. Pigeon had to drag a
Fly, my
stone
Australian
tablet.
comics pigeon, fly.
So yeah, they were totally uh, you know flabbergasted by these kind of artifacts. Trying to think of stuff that the rest of my comic making peers who have been interviewed, uh, stuff that they don't have.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Cool. Yeah. So
So
without ruining their rollout plan too much, the stuff that's online now is like a stage one of a much larger rollout of interviews. And
yeah,
they've got a stage two almost ready to go, which you're probably part of, or you could be part of stage three based on the timing for editing and assessing your interview. Like I was interviewed a couple of years ago, and they're just getting ready to
yeah,
launch that shortly. But I don't want to speak out of school or for them,
yeah,
so I don't know what their
yeah.
timing is like.
So, and I asked Gabe, am I allowed to talk about it? And he said, absolutely, go for it. So, the only reason why I won't talk with any authority is that, like, I don't know the exact plans, but yeah,
Yeah,
2026 is the year to roll it out. And they're going to roll it out in three phases, with a bit of a soft launch, I think, in January or February. So the actuals, what they have already on the site, ready to go, including your interview, right? Trudy Cooper and Tony Thorne and like so many people.
Mandy Ord, I think. Yeah,
Yeah. So what's ready to go? We'll have a soft launch in. It might be February rather than January, I think. But then they're going to do like another two kind of phases of
right.
communicating what it's all about as well. So
Yeah, yeah,
bit of a year long sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah. Cool.
So
That's
it's I think it's one of the most important uh, academic efforts for Australian comics ever. And old school people, like probably even a little bit older school than you and I, would look
what?
at is it panel by panel? I think it's downstairs, panel by panel, and Sunbeam. Was it Sunbeams to Sunset or whatever it's called,
Yep, yep, yep.
and Bonzo, like especially those three books as being the historical evidence and go to.
The go-tos. Yeah,
Yeah, but I think this is going to be like a really like a fourth volume there, but it's all oral history and it's all individual experience rather than an overview of history. Um, and yeah, Gabe, gave me a quick look at the website as it currently stands, and it's all tagged. Everything is tagged. So if you just want to look at young adult graphic novels, people who talk about that, then you just click on that, and that's the interviews that you'll get. Or if you want to look for a specific artist, not only their interview, but who else mentions them in their interviews, etc., etc. So it's pretty
comprehensive.
interconnected, yeah, comprehensive, and yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That was one of the things that Gabe talked about a number of times. Again, academic terms like nodal and stuff. But the way that all of us connect over
Nodal. What a word.
nodal.
Nodal. Not to be
um,
confused with noodle.
that's right. Although most nodes are connected by noodles.
Pop culture and two minute noodles.
That's right.
Or nodals. 2 minute
You-
nodals.
Dylan Naylor knew what was coming. So yeah, so that's part of it is like the interconnectivity of everything that we've been doing and who was in whose anthology, but also who was in what scene and what city and how people moved around and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So a comprehensive picture is built up of the whole scene. Yeah. So
So
this is a
yeah,
project that's been going for, I'd have to say, 5 years
probably yeah.
at
Very
least.
long-term project.
Yeah, yeah. So it's good seeing it reach a certain amount of fruition next year.
Yeah. And me being a uh
Idiot.
no, beyond that, me, what am I trying to say? Again, when you compare what the Folio Project is, when you compare that to panel by panel, right? A person writes a book like panel by panel, and then they send it off to print, and then it's done, and then it's on the shelf, and it's like maybe in 5 years or 20 years' time, they'll do an expanded version and update some of the information, but it's finished. And I said to Gabe, because this is on the internet, like, will it ever be finished? Like,
Mm.
but I think they want to finish it. I think they want to put a cap in it and say done.
Yeah, I think as a
That's,
human, that's a very important as a part of the human experience, particularly with the
yeah,
internet. When a project is like that, it's good to have an end point for it,
yeah,
or else
yeah, yeah.
it just de-evolves.
hmm So yeah, he said maybe they'll have a section on it that might have more interviews, but it won't be the whole thing where they photograph your artifacts and in extremely high res, almost make a little museum out of every section,
Yeah.
little digital museum. Um, they just can't do that anymore. Like, it's done. They
Mm.
they don't want to be doing all the copy editing and so he said maybe there'll be like an audio section where they just upload interviews. But
Right. Yeah.
it's been a huge project, and I can understand why they go, done.
Yeah.
Let's do something else now.
Yeah. At least to officially be able to take a break from it, and there's that
Yeah.
end point there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, After your 4 hours, was there any takeaway that you went home with last night that it brought back to you or coalesced in your brain as far as your work and your career?
I I, I was hugely reinvigorated, um, and in a different way to what I usually am when I get more excited about working again. So I brought original art from the original Greener Pastures comic strip, right?
Hmm.
So from
Hmm.
1990, prior to the comic book, and I thought I'll just bring the earliest greener pasture stuff I can find and the latest stuff. So I brought the stuff that was published in Adventure Illustrated, including the stuff that has not been published yet, the pages of the following,
Yeah.
that some of which are in pencil stage and some of which are only at layout stage. So there's a whole section where I talk through all of that, which was really cool. And I wonder whether or not it's partly because the pages were upside down so that Gabe and Meg could see them because we were sitting on opposite sides of a table.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I'm looking at them and I'm going, they're actually really good pages. Like, I don't usually think that my work is that good, and
That you were seeing it from a strange angle, so it was from a
yeah,
fresh
and maybe
viewpoint, and you're going,
yeah,
it's not bloody bad. Yeah.
it's not too bloody bad. Um,
Well, that's good.
yeah,
That's a
and
great takeaway.
they're being
That's an
Gabe
important one.
yeah, and Gabe and Meg are being very um, you know, complimentary as well. The first strip from Greener Pastures from 1990, and Gabe's going, this looks very reassured, like very self-assured brushwork, and then also the storytelling, where you're just willing to let it go for panel after panel with no dialogue and aspect to aspect
Yep.
sort of
Yep.
storytelling. So there's a lot there. I'm going, I felt like, and that's why the conversation was really interesting, right? Because then we immediately start talking about why I felt like I could do that, what my influences were, and what I was reading and what else was happening at the time, and so
Yeah, I noticed that as well in your early stuff is that you were making big swings at a very early stage of what you could try with a strip and a comic book. And
mm,
I thought that was very brave and creatively mature of you, even now.
mm,
So yeah, but it's good to have that sort of reiterated by other people who know what they're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah, exactly. And then I went back even further and brought some of the first comic pages I ever drew as like a young teenager, and they were on huge, what do you call it, like craft cardboard that you would buy at the newsagent. Those
Yeah,
huge, like, project.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you do a project on it for school or whatever,
yeah, yeah.
because as far as I knew, you were supposed to be drawing each panel this big, you know. And I'm going, well, I'll draw each page that big. You know, they're just enormous. They're like A2, A1, maybe A1. It's
Right.
huge.
Okay. Yeah.
A1, I guess. So I brought in a couple of those. One, which was the first time I'd ever used a brush in my illustration work, and it was just terrible. And then one from a few years later. Uh, where I still look at it now and go, "Whoa, I nearly could have been a superhero artist." Like
Right.
I
Yeah.
was really pushing hard to do that, but there was an effect in the background, really wide panel of let's say the embarrassing things, the Scarlet Witch looking over the prone body of the Black Knight, who she had just defeated with her hexes, right? But in across the background of this, and again, this is pretty nice composition. You know, the prone body took up most of the bottom of the panel,
Yeah.
lying
Yeah.
prone on the ground. There was low viewpoint, and Scarlet Witch is slightly in the distance, so you see full body of her walking towards him. But in the background of all of that, to fill up the space, is this like squiggly brushwork. You know, really. You know, what do you call it? But I mean, it looks great, and it's like I don't know where I got that from. I don't know who has done that in the background of one of their panels, but you know, and I couldn't tell if it was a brush, which would have been a flat-headed brush,
Right. Okay.
or if it was a marker.
Yeah.
But you know, and I said to Gabe, I wouldn't do that now. I'd be too chicken shit to put something like that in the background, something impressionistic of you know what's been
Yeah.
going on in the
Yeah.
fight
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
I blame Bill Sienkiewicz. Just,
Yeah, yeah, all of that kind of stuff.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a really invigorating, cool discussion, and like you said, yeah, it's more like a comics journal sort of
Mm.
in-depth interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go deeper into that. What was that like? And you know,
Did you talk about me much? You must have talked
yeah,
about me a lot.
I did. I was going to wait until you read the interview to see, but yeah, I did. One of the prompts is to bring a panel from an Australian comic book that is important to you for some reason, and I brought the Keegan's the splash page from a Jackaroo story. Um,
Keegan
oh,
Shout.
Keegan's Shout, which then ended up being Australiana
Yeah.
Nights.
Yeah.
But I said to Gabe, you have to use this one that says Keegan's Nights, because that was the one that I read that just blew my mind. And yeah, just the layout, the illustration style, the actual costuming of the characters, which is you know normal human clothing, not superhero clothing, but it had style and panache and not panache, that's the name of my car, panache, had
Panache.
panache,
Yeah.
and there and the hand lettering, and it's like I can still remember, like I was already totally invested in the Jackaroo, but there was definitely a point in your development through doing the Jackaroo um, that I was just riding as a reader, riding this wave with you. And when I got to that page, right, that issue, I was just going, wow, like this is
Oh,
so good.
oh,
So
that's nice.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
good. Good. I'll look out for that and look forward to listening to what
Yeah.
you had to say.
Yeah, and we talked about you and I doing the ledgers. We talked about I don't think we talked on air or during the interview about Club Domingo, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Okay. And did the 4 hours go fast?
Pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a little break in the middle of it because they needed to change SD cards, but
Right. Yeah.
other than that,
Yeah.
yeah, I could have kept going.
Yeah. Well, as we know here at Club Domingo, there's no shutting you up.
That's right. Exactly. That's what you said. Oh, no, shut me up. So did they take photos? Like, did they take photos of your stuff? Because they've kept all of my stuff to take in their photo
Controlled environment
in their studio, right at
Yeah.
the university.
Mm.
So they did, yeah. So they wouldn't have done that for you. They just shot everything in your studio.
Yeah, and on the dining table, just like with whatever lighting they could manage. And Meg stood on chairs and try and get the right angle, and yeah, she knew what she was doing. And then
Yeah.
she went for a wander
Yeah.
through the studio and just cherry picked little things to take photos of, and Yeah, so I just left her to it. You know, she knows what she's looking for. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I hope all the
Yeah.
porn was put away. I
Very
think it
cool.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I hope and again I'm old school. I almost wish that this was going to end up being a book, you know.
It
It'd be
could
great
be,
if the
could still
illustrated
be.
book
But you know,
thing.
print is so 1996.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, more power to Liz and the team for Folio.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Wonderful, wonderful thing.
yeah, good. Okay. Um, Yesterday, or when we're recording now, it still is Steve Mattson's birthday over in the States. Do you know Steve
Mm,
Mattson at all? Have you heard that name?
I
He
don't think
was
so.
the colorist for the American editions of the Jackaroo, the front covers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
also he's sort of like a what do you call an unofficial member of the Cyclone gang, I suppose, because
Right.
we met him when we went over to the States back in the late 80s, and he was a great host around Seattle and Portland, or that whole area. He was doing with Gary Martin, the Inca. He was buddies with Steve Rude and with Paul Galassi and with
Wow.
Mike Grell and that whole northwest Washington State, Oregon, Seattle kind of vibe. So we
Yeah.
became firm friends and kept in touch over the years. And yes, he was witness to some great shameful evenings on my behalf. uh,
Great.
at different
Oh,
different
good.
places around town, like the Unicorn in Seattle, which is a pub that we would frequent many times. And yes, there was a couple of nights I don't remember, but apparently I was walking through the kitchen of the pub, walking on counters, and the cooks were there going, "Would you mind hopping off the table? Take your friend back outside where the drinking happens."
Holy shit, Gary.
Yeah, there were some pretty big nights in Seattle with Steve. So anyway, yeah, he's still
Oh,
alive. I'm still alive. We're still kicking. Haven't died of alcoholic poison or anything like that.
that's the main thing.
Yeah. So Steve was actually a
Well, happy birthday to him.
he was the writer and co-creator of Superboy and the Ravers back in the day, and he wrote Superboy, and he
Yeah.
was also the colorist on the first couple of issues of Panthers Prey with Don McGregor and
Oh, wow.
Dwayne McDuffie. He did
Yeah.
fully painted, blue line with the acetate line work over the top, I think, color
Yeah.
of Panthers Prey.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's the real deal when it comes to coloring and comic book writing. But yeah,
Totally.
he's a good mate. So it was his birthday yesterday. So
Brilliant.
happy birthday, Steve. Have a
Happy
drink.
birthday, Steve.
Have a drink for me.
Yeah. Fantastic. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Whiskey. Yes. Do you have much opinions or thoughts about the latest news coming out about Netflix or Paramount Plus buying Warner Brothers?
Nothing very informed. I don't think, yeah, I'm not really the right person to talk to about that. But just generally, it's probably a bad thing whenever media, consolidates into larger and larger behemoths.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it bodes well for the creativity of DC Comics. If Disney is owned by Marvel is owned by Disney and DC is owned by either Netflix or Paramount Plus, as you say, the consolidation of those IPs into just theme park IPs
Yeah.
really is a
Yeah.
great danger of that, particularly when you consider the creators may not want to be or play ball with the huge multinational conglomerates, entertainment conglomerates.
Yeah.
There's that whole question of creativity being compromised as well.
So I know I'm sitting in a bit of an echo chamber to a certain degree in the reading I'm doing at the moment about surviving as a comic book maker at the moment.
Yep.
But it comes up again and again that controlling your own IP is the future that a lot of these people see. So I'm reading at the moment, and I'm again, it's that idiocy of being a comics collector, but I'm reading a Substack by uh, uh, oh, I'd have to look up his name because it's a weird name. Tinian, is it? He says everybody mispronounces it as Tiny Onion, and that's the name of his Substack, The Empire of the Tiny Onion.
What Tinian?
But
James something Tinian?
Yeah, James Tinian the fourth. That would
That's
be it,
it. Yeah,
probably.
yeah,
So I'm reading his Substack from like 2020 and trying to catch up. It's a really weird time capsule because they're in COVID lockdown, and I know we all went through COVID lockdown, but I don't have any experience of what what was happening like in American towns. So it's a weird little time capsule at the moment. But anyway, um, so he's doing really well in 2020. He's doing really well writing for Batman for DC. Writing the next couple of years worth of Batman. There's almost no bigger gig in
yeah,
comic books,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
As a writer. But he's already doing his own IPs here and there. So the one that he does now is Exquisite Corpse,
yep,
which
yep,
is doing extremely well. But so in 2020, he's talking about what he's laying out for the next few years of his work and how much of it is creator-owned IP that he does in conjunction with artists, and why. And even there, he's saying, the future is owning your own IP. So the person who's making a really good living doing DC's Batman is talk about it. And I look at I haven't read the recent Substacks, but I look at what he's talking about there. And he's doing this amazing international signing tour where he's going to a different shop every week or every month, and doing signings with merchandise and specially created trading cards. And
yeah,
for
yeah,
every stop is a different card. And going, yeah,
yeah,
he's fully engaged with what his plan was. So I'm really interested to keep reading through his Substacks to see the development of that part of
yeah,
his career.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and I'm only just realizing, like, because Substack doesn't have a good interface if you're trying to find something from early on in someone's posts, on my iPad anyway. So I'm scrolling backwards constantly and trying to get it to refresh the earlier. I'm going, oh, hang on, somebody else is writing these Substacks now, and there's somebody else writing the Substack in between who's doing it now and when James was actually doing it. And so at some point he outsourced the
No,
marketing of the Substack to somebody else. So
Chat
I'm very
GPT,
keen to keep. Hey.
Chat GPT.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah. No, whoever it is that's doing it now is also the person who's on his Instagram doing the video,
Right. Okay.
to camera stuff. And
Yeah, yeah,
and I know that he's in this specific uh, level of comic creation, even as a indie person doing their own IP. He's in a specific place because he's got Batman behind him and all of the other um, uh, corporate stuff that he did. So I know that puts him in a different position. But like, I'm really just keen to see how this developed and what his thoughts on
yeah,
it are.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he does at this point. He's doing all of this. Let's call it research, but he's going, in the 1990s. This was happening, and like, this is what we've got to start doing again. And he's talking about um, the self-publishing movement of the time. He was talking about Taboo, the horror anthology by
Yeah, yeah.
Stephen Bissett,
Steve Bissett.
and all of the things that came out of that. And
That was a
he's saying, and
Tundra
this is
Tundra job, I think, wasn't it? A kitchen
yeah,
sink Tundra,
yeah,
kind of that timing. Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, so it's really interesting. That's kind of to bring it back to what you were talking about a moment ago. The reason why I'm talking about it is because this Netflix eating, Warner Brothers or whatever it is, and um, because one other place, where was it that I saw it? Oh, it was in a conversation on Facebook. So an Australian, bringing up a subject about comics and distribution, but people who are not Australian coming in to talk about it and saying the future of comics is direct to customer, which is kind of things that I've seen and heard in interviews a lot recently as well. Is not is Kickstarter is that, but also just like not even running Kickstarters, just
mm,
having your own website. And
yeah,
when you do the pre-launch campaign for when your Kickstarter's coming up, instead of doing it for Kickstarter, do it for your own website. Do a pre-launch campaign for a month, and then everybody goes to your website and orders
yep,
the gear.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So direct to customer is the future.
yeah,
Diamond or whoever replaces Diamond are not going to be your friends, and
yeah,
it's the
exactly.
whole thing of building your core fan base, and
This is
It's almost
exactly
a really old-fashioned kind of idea, right?
this is exactly what Phil Barlow was on about back in the 90s. He was trying very hard to direct people to his Zuni Media area on his site and to deal with him one-on-one. He was trying to cut out that the whole publishing industry so that people could have a relationship with him as a creator and his characters as IPs directly. And that's what he's always tried to do. So he's very prescient when it comes to that idea.
Yeah.
And it seems to be becoming more and more a thing to work on to make a reality now that these big corporates are sort of like forcing their hand, basically.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of evolution happening at the moment because I can see that being that the idea of direct to customer becoming something that will fracture how things work, right? And how do you cut through all the noise to have people look at your website, so that you can be delivering directly to those people, and is that where co-ops will end up happening again, and therefore you get lots of different co-ops, which are basically publishing houses in old speak, and so it'll be interesting to keep watching, what's happening there.
Yeah. And there's still that need, that hole that needs to be filled for something like Sunrise Distribution to be able to wrangle all of those solo publishers and focus them to be able to create a market in bookstores and in libraries and make it all easy for the process to happen outside of the comic industry, in Australia. And the other thing, while it's skipping my brain, talking about Netflix and Paramount and Disney, did you read that Disney put all that development money into AI for ChatGPT or another company to develop
something else
IPs?
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting that they've laid their money down.
The only thing that we had going for us as the human race in regards to AI was that AI was hemorrhaging billions of dollars. Nobody could figure out how to make money yet, like the developers. And now someone like Disney saying, "No, here, have a few billion." It's like, well, we're done for now. Surely, everybody's going to see that there is money in it, and whether we like it or not.
There was one interesting point on that.
To keep on making our handmade objects.
Yeah. Human imperfection rules. Make sure that you don't do anything.
You're full of it, Gary. So you'll be fine. Full of human imperfection, Mr. Dancing on Table at Seattle.
What was I going to say? The money involved that Disney is giving this AI developer is also counterbalanced by the invoice that they give to the AI developer for using all of their IP or the Disney IP. So, I'll give you so many billions of dollars and here's an invoice for so many billions of dollars back. So, so it's all these big corporations just feeding each other.
Yeah. And we don't get any of it, even though they've scraped our art as well. We don't get any of that ability to invoice for it or whatever.
The thing that's comforting for me is a very Cro-Magnon opinion that all it takes is for the power to go out and we're back to scratch again. We're back to drawing on walls and on paper, on bark and using charcoal and and hitting each other over the head with clubs, and it'll be great.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the whole thing's all very, very tenuous, and there's a lot of money being exchanged here. But to what end? It's all very top heavy. All these billions of dollars going backwards and forwards, and AI development, and corporate sellouts and buyouts, and conglomerations all getting bigger and bigger, till finally there's got to be a balance upheaval where it just comes all crashing down. There's got to be. It can't keep on sustaining itself. Capitalism only has so much life in it before it becomes top heavy and ends. Capitalism ends. The end. And, wow, that's about as deep and meaningful as I can get.
So you think late stage capitalism is getting closer and closer to the end?
Yes. Yeah, or a new beginning.
Exciting.
A new beginning.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
You ever see the Time Machine with Rod Taylor?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the Morlocks and the Eloi. Like the Eloi are coming. the Eloy. I want to be an Eloy and be eaten by a Morlock.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. Speaking of Eli, is that how you say it? Eloy?
Eloy.
Eloy? Eloy.
Eloi.
Have you watched any of Pluribus yet
Not yet. No, I've heard good things about it, but
on Apple?
I don't register with Apple.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Mm.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess you miss out.
Yeah.
The way it was kind of sold to me was if you've been enjoying if you've been enjoying Severance and you want something else, of that kind of heady sci-fi, then this is probably the next thing.
Right.
And I continue to find the protagonist to be pretty unlikable and hard going, especially since they're the only real conduit to this incredible new world that's happened in the story. But it feels to me, there's two things that it feels to me like. It feels like a really long extended episode of Black Mirror. I don't know if you've ever watched any of Black
I've
Mirror.
seen a couple of those, yeah.
Which are very rarely character driven. They're mostly, here's an interesting science fiction issue. Let's see what happens,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
rather what it does. So it feels a lot like that. But it's also doing that thing that I think science fiction was unintentionally invented for, which is exaggerating a moral dilemma into some enormous kind of gargantuan thing. So the moral discussions in it are really good. Like the fact that I don't like the lead character is very much being balanced by the fact that I'm really loving sitting there going, well, shit, what would I do? Like very rarely do I really say, fuck, what would I do if that was me? But so yeah.
Well, one of these days I might rotate my streaming service back to Apple and I might watch it then. But I'm training myself not to be so needy on these things. So, I've got my Master Chef on 10 play and I'm happy. So, and that's as much science fiction as I can take.
Exactly. Fabulous. All right. So there's that. What a discussion that AI and conglomeration.
And we forgot to mention last week in passing that it was the 40th show too. We've done 40 of these things. Yeah. This is the 41st one coming up. That's if the recording works.
Yeah, that's right. You froze a moment ago again, actually.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, but you came back. That's right. You were doing the robot.
Yeah.
So yeah,
how last week
that's a milestone.
It is a milestone, yeah. But last week we also had our email address, which is clubdamingo@cyclonecomics.com.au. Guess how many emails we got?
Again?
clubdamingo@cyclonecomics.com.au. How many emails did we get in our request for people to send through there?
We got 3. What?
We got 1, but it's a mighty one. So do you want me to read it out? It's from Spedsy. It's from Rob Lyle.
One's better than 0.
Other people, the point of this is other people, it's the end of the year, it's Christmas time. And so we would like to get everyone's opinions on what the best or funnest comics were in Australia. So send through your suggestions and we'll cherry pick them and read them out. But because Spedsy only sent through the one email, I was going to read out his suggestions here or his email here, if that's okay with you.
Sounds great. Spedsy, friend of the show.
So I'm going to read out. This is Spedsy talking. So you've got to use his voice. Yeah, g'day, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's his voice? Yeah,
he signs off with
a bit more high pitched.
G'day, mate. Yeah,
a bit more high pitched and whiny.
Yeah, g'day, mate. I'm not going to do an impression. I'm not going to do an impression. I'm just going. He writes.
Of course not. You're culturally sensitive like that. You're not going to.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Spedsy. Sorry to keep interrupting you. I'll try not to interrupt.
Oi, lads! Here's my favourite comics of 2025. So he lists Sobek Lives by Adam Gillespie, and he calls it awesomely weird. Do you know that one? Sobek Lives. I haven't seen it.
No.
No, okay. Anyway, so there's that suggestion. I'll find the covers and put them up on screen as I edit this show, if it records okay.
Yeah.
The second of four, he's got The Hardy Birds by Nick Cleary, which he says is delightful good times. Peter Wilson and Nick May contribute some goods too. And then he suggests Bland number 3 by Neil Blandon. His comedian character is almost up there with Business Coat, ! And Amazing Tales number 9 by Dave Dye, another super solid and slightly sexy addition to the series. Yeah, g'day, mate. And that was his email.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rob.
So we want more of them. We want more, a short list of people who have read a lot of Aussie comics to put their best of the year or their faves for the year. Send them through. We've got a couple more shows to the end of the year, and next week is the one before Chrissy, and then we've got one squeezed in between Chrissy and the New Year. So let's celebrate some Australian comics by ringing some bells and showing some front covers.
What are you doing for Christmas, Gary? You going to the coast? You're gonna go snow skiing? You got snow on the mountain at the moment? Like,
the weather is looking like it could be a bit chilly, so it could be snow to 700 meters or something like that. Who knows? But if it's
really,
yeah, fair income, as they say. So I'm looking out the window now and it's sunny. So if it's a day like today, Belle and I might head down to the beach and dip our toes into the water, where we try and remain fearless when it comes to running into the Tasmanian surf. So even though it's cold, we'll just put an extra jumper on and jump in.
Fantastic. Great.
What about
have you guys ever done that the nude swim? What do they call it? The
dark mofo nude swim, solstice swim.
Yeah.
I haven't, but Belle has. She done the first.
I knew that was got.
She did the first and second one.
I could tell that was going to be the answer. I could tell that Belle would have been in that and you would not.
Yep. The funny thing is they supply towels that barely wrap around a normal sized body. And, Belle's a large woman, and she was there, trying to, lace two towels together while they're standing by for the buzzer to go for them to jump in. So yeah, she's done it once, and she'd do it again with enough, what's the word I'm looking for? Prompting, I suppose. With enough prompting, she'd do it again.
Yeah, right.
No, that's not my bag.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Running into ice cold water with a lot of strangers around.
Dipping your tea bag into that water is not your bag.
There would be no tea bag. I'd have 3 Adam's apples.
Yeah. Very good.
I'm in my 60s. I don't need to do anything like that. I have nothing to prove, nothing to gain.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And no, we're not doing anything right now. We are emptying the garage. We've got a double car garage, and it is basically been full of our crap pretty much since the day we moved in, because we moved in the middle of the rain, and like just boxes of shit just went everywhere, and a lot of it has never been touched. And where Annabelle's art studio is, looks like the building's going to get knocked down, so she needs a new studio. So we're getting rid of half of our stuff so that there is room in there for a printmaking studio of some form,
okay.
For Annabelle.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. It's kind of weird timing that I did this folio thing where I was talking about my old work, and I was having to dig through stuff to find old work, and now I'm in the garage like digging through boxes of childhood memories and stuff. It's kind of weird. So yeah. But having to I've got to just get rid of shit. So
I'm at the same point, and I've still got piles around here. I've got piles. You get to my age and you get piles. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's Christmas. We've got to get that done over Christmas.
Yeah. No, I don't have any formal plans for the day. We sort of don't celebrate Christmas as such. The last couple of years, we've been going up to Glenn Lumsden's place to spend it with him, and he doesn't celebrate it in the traditional sense. So it's just, kicking back and drinking and eating and, listening to music and chatting. But this week,
it sounds like traditional to me.
Yeah, well, this year there's no Chrissy trees, no gift giving, no decorations, and all that kind of stuff. So it'll just be a day off for me, which will be very welcome. But I don't know what Belle and I have planned. Nothing at the moment, so it'll be fairly cruisy. We'll have our boy Jared probably pop in to say hi at some stage. But other than that, exceptionally low key. So no plans.
Yeah.
Just
Good
enjoying
on.
the time off from work and then getting revved up for next year.
Cool. Sounds good.
Mm,
Something similar here. Got the kids coming over, and yeah,
mm. Have you got
that'll be
anything
it.
on
Very
your
good.
list to talk about?
Yeah, have we still got time? I didn't really take note of when we started. We
Well,
good to talk for a little while longer?
yeah. Let's do that, and then we'll call it quits for the day.
Okay. So someone else that I've been in discussions with recently, and you too, you have as well, is Jonathan McBurney, who is old school like zine making art comics sort of guy. Um, and I was going to say I've got a few of his comics that I think I've picked up over the years, but I've actually got more than a few because the last time I met with Jonathan, he ended up sending me I think 3 packages worth of
Huh,
all of the stuff he's done, which is
right.
wonderful. So I think I've got almost everything he's done now, which is great. Um, but just again, beautifully, he's somebody who read Greener Pastures back in the day, and still has a soft spot for Greener Pastures. But Jonathan McBurney is the curator or the head curator for the Rockhampton Museum of Art. If you look that up online, make sure you look up Rockhampton Museum of Art because there's some other art galleries there, and it's not the art gallery, it's the Museum of Art, which is a brand new, like as in the last 5 or 10 years, purpose-built structure of a really, um, modern art gallery there. It's fantastic. And the last 2 times I've been to Rockhampton, which I think is also the first 2 times I've been to Rockhampton.
Yeah, nicely put.
I, I went to the gallery, and they had great art on display. It was a really interesting little art gallery. It's not huge, but they make really good use of the space, and they've got a little research center, and so really good art gallery. Um, and anytime I meet anyone who's got an art gallery, I say you should put on a comics related exhibition, and uh, especially you, Jonathan. Making your art comics because he
Yeah.
makes really interesting kind of art related, comic related art zines and whatnot, and research and all sorts of things. He said, "Well, I am," and I went, "Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
good.
let's go." So yeah, that's going to be. It's been a couple of years. I was looking at my emails, and they're a couple of years old now. The first couple of
Wow.
emails about it. It takes that long to get something of this level up and running, and I don't know who else is involved, but I'll be showing there. He's already told me that I've been accepted as somebody who's showing, so I'm going to show some greener pastures stuff, but I'm hoping to also show some movie related stuff, and I don't know what else.
Mm.
And because it's an art gallery or an art museum, it's not. He doesn't just want pages on the wall. He wants other stuff. They recently, like 6 months ago or so, maybe 12 months, they did a Mad Max related exhibition. So nothing from Mad Max, but artists' reactions to Mad Max.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and then they do like highfalutin art as well, and then they come back to like lowbrow stuff. So it's a great kind of back and forth that they do at this gallery. Um, but yeah, they want stuff that's out of the ordinary, not just uh, original art on the walls. They want other
Right.
stuff.
Right.
So it should be interesting. The official launch date is 6th of November next year. I think it's
Right.
just, yeah, 6th of November. Um, it'll open on the 31st of October, but the launch will be the 6th of November. I'm just going to double check that so that I don't have to correct myself next year. Um, it's the one note that I don't have. Yeah, Friday, 6th of November is currently the launch date for that. And they already have a website up and running. So I didn't look today, but as far as I know, they haven't listed who's showing yet, but the website itself is there, or the web page for that. Yeah,
Introducing the
yeah,
what's the word I'm looking for? Geez, my brain today.
the exhibition.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. And the exhibition is called Smash Up, one word, Smash Up, Comics X Art, or comics crossed with art. So Smash Up, Comics X Art. So yeah, that should be really exciting and interesting.
I'm looking to
I hope I'm
participate in
not
that as well. I've got all the forms and paperwork to fill out, so hopefully I'll be part of that. But as you say, there's an intersection between original art on the wall and artifacts as well that go alongside it, and that's the interesting bit that I'm trying to resolve as to, well, what do I show that is going to be of interest? So a bit of a conversation of clarity with Jonathan is called for, I think.
Yeah, but we also don't have to rely on every artist to be doing, that whole spectrum of stuff to exhibit. If Gary Chaloner only shows original art, well, that's great, because there's almost assuredly going to be comics adjacent artists just doing stuff specifically for the exhibition, I'm sure, which won't be comics at all. It'll be something that is a reaction to comics, or something that's three-dimensional or sculptural, or who knows what, right? But so yeah, it's not all on everybody's shoulder to do that spectrum of things. I'm sure it will happen regardless. So I hope you're in it. It would be great to
I suppose all those problems get resolved when from the curator's point of view.
Yeah. So yeah, should be interesting. They're probably going to run some workshops or talks or both or whatever. So end of the year. November's going to be busy because Scamp will be on in Sydney, probably, because that's kind of their month. And I'm pretty sure they're going to try to move to the 2-day format at least, if not like a 2.5-day format. And is that the month that the cars are supposed to be happening for the second time in 2026? Two times in 2026?
I think so, and that could all change.
So
November is looking very crowded.
I'm hoping there's no clashes. So yeah, but
talk to each other, people. Talk to each other.
Exactly. That's not that hard. But yeah, if you're in that like central Queensland area, or even anywhere in Queensland, Rockhampton, let's go. I'll be there. I want to go. So yeah, there's that.
Cool. Okay.
And while we're talking about comics events, did you get an email? Probably not. Yeah, I don't think you would have actually. So I've exhibited at Comic Gong, so I'm on their mail list, and we've all been getting the email from Comic Gong saying that they are going to be biennial from this point on. So that's every 2 years. So not biannual.
Not twice a year. Not twice a year. No. Every 2 years.
Can you imagine? Every 2 years. Biennial, I think, is the word. I wrote it down. You can see I'm looking over at my notes. So they're skipping 2026, and the next Comic Gong in Wollongong is going to be 2027. So
was there any rationale behind their decision that they'd let people know why? Or
I think it's just resources, and they want to make sure that they can really concentrate to make a good festival. And it's good that they talk about it as a festival as well, like a good festival every 2 years rather than a mediocre one every year. I hope, like, again, it's not for me to be telling people how to do things, but I'm gonna anyway. The fact that they moved it from the town centre of Wollongong to the Dapto Library, like, I get why it's easier to control or whatever, but I absolutely was looking at Comic Gong, if the right people came in to manage it, to be an Angoulême similar sort of thing, because it was taking over entire streets of the town centre of Wollongong, and several buildings, and it's like feels like a shame that they're contracting rather than expanding. But it's a hard thing to organise, and I bet you anything it's librarians and counsellors who are trying to run it, not events organisers. So
true.
You can't be cross at them, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's not something that will be locked in. I mean, they could change back to an annual thing at any stage down the track, but maybe they just need some breathing space.
Yeah.
So
they were my main things. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then I still haven't got my pop culture and 2-minute noodles in the mail yet, but I did see on Facebook that the book launches. There's 3 or 4 different book launches over the week, over the past week, that have gone quite well. And that Bernard Callio is out and about doing his book launch thing with Dylan Naylor as well. So I'm glad that all the book launches went well for that book. Just looking forward to getting it in my hands to have a bit of a flip through.
Yeah, very exciting. Extremely exciting. So
Yeah,
congratulations, Dylan, on finally getting your printed copies made, and
yeah,
good on you, Nat, for being the publisher of that.
yes. I'm sure it'll be
Yeah,
a very
Comic,
handsome volume.
I
Yeah,
bet Comic
for a,
Oz, right, is the
yeah,
publisher.
yeah, yeah. For a person who's trying to downsize, that is nice addition to my book collection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Um,
do?
is that it for the week, I think?
I reckon. Unless you want to hear about my stress dreams about going to conventions, we can talk about that next week.
Well, let's save it for next week. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll press stop here and hopefully the recording will work. And you say goodbye to the kiddies.
Brilliant. See you, kiddies.